Hello everyone and welcome to Daily News Simplified, your one-stop solution for the detailed analysis of the current affairs which are published in the daily edition of the Hindu newspaper. Articles dated 12th of June 2023 are listed on your screen and the time stamping along with the notes in PDF and Word format are given in the description box. So let us begin with the first article for the day. Raus IAS is going to conduct the mains revision classes for 2023 which will prepare you for the mains 23 examination. As you must be well aware that these classes have boosted the score of many IAS toppers. For example, Anandya Rashri, Pooja Jha, Namrata Chaube, and helped them to score a good rank in the top 100. As far as features of this program is concerned, so all the students and the participants are going to get 150 hours of revision classes that will cover all the important subjects, important themes in the question and answered format. Students will also get one-to-one mentorship in unlimited format. There will be a dedicated mains test series that will help you to simulate exam-like experience and revise your syllabus in the time-bound manner. This test series will also provide you the timely feedback which will help you to score even more. All the teachers taking the classes will be providing you the important and relevant notes which will be handy for you to revise in the last time. There will be 4 hours of classes every day between Monday to Friday. The teachers would include Baswa Upin for economics, Mr. Faizan Khan for ethics, Vaibhav Mishra for polity, Gaurav Tripathi for environment and geography, Ankit Kaul for international relations, Mr. Arun Bharadwaj for science and technology. The second announcement is with respect to the optional test series from political science that is open under the guidance of Rahul Puri sir. This test series would include 16 tests, 8 sectional and 8 full-length tests, along with the evaluation with sample answers and detailed feedback. Over 40 hours of classes comprising detailed test discussion will be conducted for the subscribers. The detailed schedule of the entire test series has been displayed on your screen. In order to know more and subscribe to this test series, there's a link given in the description box that you can follow. Now let us begin the first article for today's DNS. This article of the Hindu newspaper appeared on editorial page and talks about that how and why governors cannot indefinitely hold back the bills which are being issued or which are being brought up in the state legislation. Now, governor is an important element of the state legislation apart from the legislative assembly and in some of the state where there is bicameralism legislative council. Now, recently many issues have come up which have shown that chief ministers and the governors are contrary to each other when it comes to the passage of respective bills. When most of the bills were passed by the state assemblies, they were sent to the governor for the assent because governor holds the constitutional office. He is the nominee of the central government and he is the last authority to pass a bill. Now, when governor is provided with a bill, it is the responsibility of the governor to act on the aid and advice of the chief minister. But it has been observed that at many instances, governor just sit idle on a particular bill without giving his assent. And holding back or withholding the bill automatically kill out or defeat the purpose of democracy. In a democracy where chief ministers and his council is being elected by the mandate of the citizens, it is the responsibility of the governor to act on the advice of the chief minister and his council. If a governor does not works as per the demand of the chief minister and the council, he is actually going against the wishes of the people. That is one of the reasons why governors are being observed to be the hindrance rather than a cooperative character in India's democracy. The debate whether governors are right on not passing a bill on the time is a long one in the Indian democracy. So since the independence, it was observed that governors were mostly looked as the agent of the central government. And whenever there was an opposition government in the state level, central government has always tried to arm twist the state government with their tools of utilizing the governor's power. And here, the real issue arises that how and why governors can utilize their discretion in holding or withholding a particular bill. Now, according to the constitution and many judgments, governor cannot withhold a bill on his own discretion. The only place where he can use a discretion with respect to bill is that he can reserve it for the president's assent. As far as syllabus mapping is concerned, so this topic of governor and the passage of the bill is important for your general studies paper 2 under 3 different headings: separation of power between various organs, issues and the challenges pertaining to the federal structure, state legislations, structure, functioning and conduct of business. The content for today's discussion would include governor's role in the legislation, governor's power on the passage of the bills, autonomy enjoyed by the governor according to various judgments, that whether he has some kind of discretion in the passage of the bills or not, and other constitutional aspects with respect to the governor, which will more be like a revision for you. As far as constitutional questions are asked, so in 2020 question from speaker, in 2019 there was a question with respect to the parliament's power to amend the constitution, which also calls as the constitutional bill. Then we have attorney general, CAG and lieutenant governor in 2018 asked respectively. So from that perspective, yes, direct question from the constitution and the working of the various organs and the issues and the challenges from that perspective is being asked by the UPSC in the mains examination of GS paper 2. So let us start with the discussion on how a governor is being stationed in the legislation of a state. Now, governor is an integral part of the state legislation because along with the assembly and the council, if it is a bicameralism, governor is also the integral part, because until and unless governor gives his assent to a bill, the legislation cannot get a bill to be made into an act. As far as legislative powers of the governor is concerned, so these are as follows. He is responsible to summon and prorogue legislation in every session. He can dissolve only the legislative assembly. Now, dissolve here simply means after the completion of the duration, or if the party or the political or the ruling party loses the majority in the house. Now, the point is that it is only applicable to the legislative assembly and not the legislative council. Legislative council is a permanent house and it is not subjected to the dissolution. So, governor cannot dissolve the legislative council. He is responsible for appointing member of legislative assemblies or the councils when the seat of the speaker or the deputy speaker, or in the case of council's chairman, falls vacant. He nominates 1/6 of the member of legislative council only in the case of bicameralism. He decides on the question of disqualification of a member to the state legislation in consultation with the election commission. See, this is important. Whether a person is disqualified or not, and this does not include the anti-defection law. It is outside the anti-defection law. So if a person will be disqualified from holding a particular position in the state legislation, can be decided by the governor with respect to the consultation that he had conducted with the election commission. He has the power, like the president, to promulgate ordinances which are temporary laws for 6 months when assembly is not in session. In case of unicameralism, or when there is only one house, it is just the assembly. In case of bicameralism, it is both. He also lays down various reports given by the Finance Commission of the state, State Public Service Commission, or the CAG reports with respect to that particular state in the assembly. And these reports are being read to evaluate the performance of the government. Now coming to the real point, that what are the assenting power of the governor and whether these powers are the discretionary powers or not. When a bill is sent to the governor after it is passed by the state legislation, governor can give his assent, that is the approval, withhold his assent, that is does not provide any signature to the bill, or return the bill. See, withholding is the one that was actually highlighted in the article, that how long can a governor withhold. There is no time frame which is given in the constitution. So he can withhold this bill for as long as he wishes. But as the bill is passed by the government which enjoys the majority, and constitution says that governor should act on the aid and advice of the state legislation, it is the responsibility, also the moral duty of the governor to provide his assent. So withholding assent goes also in the constitutional morality, where governor is termed to be the culprit. The last one, which is the returning of the bill, says that if it is not a money bill, because he cannot return a money bill back to the assembly, he has to give the assent. If it is not a money bill, he can return the bill for the reconsideration. Let's say there is a particular clause X in a particular bill where governor is not happy with. So he may say to the state assembly or to the state legislation that please reconsider this point X or clause X in this particular bill. State legislation, if pass the bill again with or without the amendments, that is with and without the suggestions given by the governor has to give his final assent to the bill. So he cannot return the bill twice. He just has suspensive veto. Next comes the concept of reserving a bill for the president. It is given under Article 201. So governor can reserve a bill for the consideration of the president. See, the word they have used is consideration. So president is going to consider the bill, and when the president is allowed to consider a bill, governor has no role to play. It will include the money bill also. In case of such reservation is obligatory where the bill passed by the state legislature endanger the position of the state high court. Now this is something which is mentioned clearly. If any bill passed by the state legislation endangers the position of the state high court, because see, we have integrated judiciary. So if it is Supreme Court, it is also the High Court that enjoy more or less the same power. And High Court judges, as we all know, are appointed by the central government through the recommendation of the collegium. So state High Court control cannot be diminished, cannot be endangered by any particular state government. If they try to do that, governor can reserve that particular bill for the president's assent. Apart from that, because of certain convention and the practices, governor can also reserve the following bills. First, if it ultra-vires, that is against the provisions of the constitution. Let's say tomorrow the state of Uttar Pradesh brings a bill to change any particular provision in the constitution, or they have brought a bill which goes against the fundamental right, then that can be taken up for the president consideration. If a particular bill opposes the directive principles of the state policy, if it is against the larger interest of the nation, provides a grave national importance. Let's say there is a clause banning a particular social evil or banning a particular social practices. So it might go against a particular community which resides in multiple states or which has sentiments against the bill. In that case, it becomes a grave concern for the nation itself. Hence, here governor can reserve that particular bill for the assent or the consideration of the president. And the last one is dealing with the compulsory acquisition of the property under the article mentioned in the constitution. If there is a bill which is compulsorily acquiring the property by the state, then that can be referred to the president for the consideration. Now all these are based on the convention and the practices and the judicial judgments not mentioned in the constitution. President can withhold money bill which is reserved by the governor. This is important. So if money bill was referred to the president by the governor, that can be withheld by the president. Now important thing, there is no discretion according to various judgment which can help the governor to withhold a bill. However, there is no time frame given either. See, if a governor wants to withhold a bill, not providing sign, not returning the bill, he can. But this is not his discretion. This is not a discretionary power. His discretionary power only falls under the reservation of a bill for the president. He can keep the bill, withhold the bill, but there is no time frame in this regard. Now coming to the exception. President may direct the governor to return the bill to the House. Number one. So president who is now considering a bill may direct the governor to return the bill to the House. And when a bill is so returned to the House shall reconsider it within the period of 6 months. Now please understand this. In the previous case, as we have seen that here governor can return a bill, as you can see on the screen. So here governor can return a bill, but there is no time frame for the House to pass it. But when a bill is returned by the president or on the discretion or on the suggestion, recommendation or the direction of the president, there is a period of 6 months in which a House should respond. If the bill is passed within 6 months with or without the amendments, it shall be presented to the President again for the consideration. Now comes the real point. What are the judgments that support that governor's discretionary power with respect to the passage of the bill is limited? Under Shamsher Singh and State of Punjab, judiciary decided that governor exercises his discretion and this discretion cannot be challenged in the court of law. And this discretion of the governor can only be exercised as per the constitutional provisions. And as we know, under Article 201, the article says that constitutional provision only talks about the discretion of the governor with respect to the bills which are reserved for the president and not any other bill. Under Purushothaman Nambudri versus State of Kerala, a bill pending with the governor would not lapse if the house dissolves. Now please assume this. There's a government A in a state, let's say UP. And this government has a tenure of 5 years. And this government brought a particular bill at 4 years and 11th month. Now, governor has kept that bill for, let's say, 3 months. Now, it simply proves that government is not in power. Government is dissolved. Now, once government is dissolved, what will happen to that particular bill? Will the bill also dissolve? So, according to this case, the bill will not dissolve. So, governor cannot use his power to dissolve a particular bill or to make a bill useless or redundant. So, governor's power was limited as per this particular case. In Nambia Rabia case, discretionary power of the governor is limited to reserve a bill to the president. Immunity will be provided from the judicial review in this case and not where he has to act on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. So after all this discussion, what we come to know, the discretionary power to the governor will be available under Article 201 and not under Article 200. Please remember this. This is very thorough discussion and this is a very thorough conclusion. Under 201, as we know, when it reserves a bill for the president, yes, discretionary power is provided. But if it is not reserved for the president, there is no discretionary power given to the governor. Now, before winding up the article, let us understand some of the important basics and let us revise about the basic provisions to the governor. Now, as far as appointment is concerned, so governor is appointed by the warrant under his hand and seal of the president. He is considered to be a nominee of the state of the central government. It is not an employment. He holds a constitutional office. His qualification as per the constitution is that he should be a citizen of India who has completed the age of 35. As per the qualification on the convention or the practices, he should be an outsider from the state, and while the appointment of the governor, consultation should take place between CM and the president. On the condition of the service, he should not be a member of parliament or the member of legislative assembly. If he is appointed being the member or the member of legislative assembly, he must leave that particular position. He should not hold any office of profit, and he or she can be appointed as the governor of 2 or more states. This was not in the original constitution, it was added later on. Now please comment in the comment box in which constitutional amendment act this was changed. As far as his oath is concerned, so he is going to take an oath to the Chief Justice of the High Court to preserve, protect and defend the constitution and the law. He is going to devote himself to the service and the well-being of the people of that particular state. Alright, so this is how the oath is being taken up. His terms of office, 5 years, which is given in the constitution. Please remember that. His duration of office is given to the constitution, but it is subjected to the pleasure of the president. And that is one of the reasons why a governor can be removed, can be positioned, can be transferred on the pleasure of the president. And here president is being represented by the Council of Ministers at the Union government. Chief Justice of the State High Court, where this governor is functioning, would take the governorship in the case of sudden death. But this is just an exception. It is not a convention. It is not always the practice. Most of the time it is seen that when there is a death of the governor, suddenly a new governor is being appointed. And lastly, even in the case of transfer, it is a responsibility of the appointing authority, that is the president, to transfer a governor from one state to the other. With this discussion, please let us now move to the next article for the day. This particular article of the Hindi newspaper appeared on page 4 and talks about the rising particulate matter or particulate pollution in certain cities of the state of Rajasthan as per the CSE report. Now, a recent report of the Center for Science and Environment has highlighted that the particulate pollution is increasing in the cities of Rajasthan. Now, what is particulate matter? This topic is important for your General Studies paper 3 in the mains examination as well as prelim pointers. So, particle pollution or particulate matter is made up of particles. That is how it is being named. And they are very tiny pieces of solid or the liquids that are suspended in the air. See, this is very important. That is the reason why they are also known as suspended particulate matter or SPM. They might include dust, dirt, soot, smoke, drops of liquid, which might be even the dangerous liquid. Now, particulate or particle pollution can come from two different kind of sources. The first one is primary and second one is secondary. The primary sources cause particulate or particle pollution on their own. For example, wood stoves and forest fires. The secondary sources are the let of gases that can form the particles. For example, power plants and the coal fires. Some of the other common sources of particle pollutions can either be primary or the secondary. For example, factories, cars, trucks, and the construction sites can also bring the sources of particle matter. Smoke from the fires and the emissions released from the power plants, industrial facilities, cars and trucks can also be the sources of particulate matter. Now let us understand about the basic classification, that how it is being divided. Any particulate matter over 10 is not considered to be very much of the significance for very basic reason, because these are the two that can enter into the bloodstream and can impact a lot. So particulate matter 10 simply means 10 micrometer. So it is inhalable particles with a diameter of 10 micrometers. They are relatively large and can be seen in the form of fine dust or smoke. They can come from various sources, for example, dust from the construction site, pollens, emissions from the vehicles and the industrial processes. On the other hand, there is a smaller one, particulate matter 2.5, which is just 1/4 of PM10. The size of PM 2.5 is 2.5 micrometer, which is very smaller. They are much tinier, cannot be seen from the naked eyes. Please understand this. You cannot see these from the naked eyes. We'll compare the size very shortly. They are often the result of the combustion process, like burning of the fuels, vehicle emissions, even the cooking. Now, because of their very small size, they can easily penetrate deep into our lungs and can cause severe health issues. If we have to compare them with the size, so this is fine beach sand. Now this is a beach sand. This is what a human hair is all about. Now particulate 10 is just a fraction. So almost 6 to 7 particulate 10 will form the width of a particular human hair. So 5 to 6 particulate matter 10 will be equal to 1 human hair. 1 particulate matter 10 equals 3 or 4 particulate matter 2.5, which simply proves that 1 human hair is as wide as 15 pm 2.5 or even 20 pm 2.5. That is the reason why it is not visible from the naked eyes. Now the real issue is why it is a concern. Because of these following conditions. First of all, the respiratory problems. So they can be inhaled, they can worsen the respiratory conditions, cause asthma, bronchitis, and even the respiratory infection. They might cause cardiovascular effects, increase the heart attack, heart stroke, cardiovascular diseases. They might even develop plaque in the arteries, which may block them. They will reduce lung functioning. Long-term exposure will decline the proper functioning of the lungs. They might lead to the allergies and the irritation in nose, throat, eyes and other areas, which will ultimately cause coughing, sneezing and watery eyes. They will cause premature death. They will increase the mortality rate in the society. They will cause cancer. So once diesel exhaust particles and some heavy metals enter into the bloodstream, they can be carcinogenics. They will cause the development issues. Pregnant women, when exposed to the high level of particulate matter, may experience the complications in their preterm birth, low birth weight, and even the basic mental disorders among the children. They will call for the impaired lung growth among the children who are young at their age and has been exposed to the high level of particulate matter. And lastly, they might aggravate the existing conditions of a person. If a person already suffers from asthma, it might aggravate that. So based on the discussion, we can easily prove that particulate matter 10 or 2.5 both are extremely harmful for human health. So what government has done? Government has launched 3 different programs: NCAP, GRAP and NEC. So in NCAP, we have National Clean Air Program. It is a long-term, time-bound national level strategy to tackle the air pollution across the country with the target to achieve 20 to 30% reduction in PM10, PM2.5 by the year 2024. And here 2017 was the base year. In this, over 100 non-attainment cities were targeted in the Indo-Gangetic Plain, and they were identified on the basis of the ambient air quality. The second one was the GRAP or GRAP, Graded Response Action Plan, only limited to Delhi NCR. It was launched in 2017 for the prevention, control and abatement of the air pollution, which includes particulate matter itself. And the last one is the index, National Air Quality Index, launched in 2014. One number, one color, one description method, in which 8 air pollutants were targeted to be reduced, in which particulate 10 and particulate 2.5 were the primary one, apart from other pollutants. So these 3 programs have provided the impetus to the fight against the particulate matter. But despite all these things, smaller cities like the one in the state of Rajasthan are suffering from the high level of pollution because of the high level of industrialization. So the case of Rajasthan simply proves that the air quality is worsening both in big and the small cities. So big cities like Jaipur, small cities like Ajmer, due to the increasing level of nitrogen oxide and the ozone. And this is the ground level ozone, on which we have conducted a DNS dated 11th of June, that is yesterday. So you can go through and learn more about the ground level ozone. Systematic pollutants or the pollution persists due to inadequate infrastructure of the pollution control across all the sectors. So there is no industrial air purifiers in the industrial area. Construction activities are not using the proper kits to avoid the spread of particulate matter. Roads are not cleaned on the regular basis. Despite having the dust storms, state government is not in a position to clear out the roads and the public places. Cities like Jodhpur and Kota are second among the 5 non-attainment cities in the state with respect to the pollution control. So based on the report of the CSE, we can easily prove that it is not only the state of Rajasthan. Rajasthan is just a case study. It is happening in almost every state, almost every city in India, that particulate matter has become now a burden to the human health. With this discussion, please let us now move to the last article for the day. This article of the Hindu newspaper appeared in the editorial page and talks about that how we can improve the adolescent girls' nutrition in the country. The context says that finding of the National Family Health Survey 5, which is the latest one, which is based on the survey conducted in 2019 to 21, shows that around 60% or 59.1% of the adolescent girls were suffering from anemia. Now, we have already conducted a detailed analysis of the anemia and its spread across India in the recent DNS. The National Family Health Survey 4, that is the previous survey, has also reported it to be around 41.9% among the school-going girls that they were underweight, and number has been very, very worrying. Now, 59% are anemic, 42% are underweight. Both of them shows that adolescent girls' health and nutrition in the country is not very good. On the syllabus mapping perspective, it is important for your general studies paper 2 under the category of vulnerable sections of the society where women is important, as well as matters with respect to the education and health. The content for this discussion would be based on the adolescents and how they have been categorized in India, reasons for the nutritional deficiency, consequences of that particular nutritional deficiency in India, government initiatives, and particular way forward. After the entire discussion, you will be in a position to answer this mains practice question where we have talked about that what are the consequences of nutrition deficiencies among adolescent girls in India and what initiative has government taken to address this issue. You should try to answer this question in about 250 words. So let us begin the discussion with understanding the adolescent in India. So as per the government criteria, adolescence is the one where a child is between the age of being 11 to 19. So they have just crossed 10 and they are about to become 11. And this is an age between childhood to the adulthood. So it's a phase of life where a child turns into the adult. It is a pivotal period where rapid physical, cognitive and psychosocial growth takes place in the human body. This affects how they feel, think, make decisions and interact with the world around them. It is also significant for women's labor force participation in the country in the long term because good nutrition improves girls' ability to perform better and participate in the productive activities. And not only this, even women's ability to bear a child or girls' ability to bear a child after marriage also depends on how she had been through her nutritional days during the adolescent. Now, as per the criteria, the recommendation dietary allowance for the nutrition of the adolescents in India are as follows. So the recommendation says that the share of protein remains highest during the pre-adolescent, the share of energy remains highest during the case of post-adolescent. As far as calcium is required, so it is highest with respect to the adolescent age, and as far as iron is concerned, so it is good and highest ratio comes in the pre-adolescent. So be it the pre-adolescent and the adolescent age, all the criterias are extremely important. Now, based on this criteria given by the Indian Council of Medical Research, India need to revamp its nutritional program under Poshan Abhiyan and many other. The question arises that what are the reasons for the nutritional deficiencies of adolescent girls in India? The first one is the gender discrimination. Right from the environmental condition to the cultural norms that lack a gender neutral environment within the household. So girls are preferred more to be given less amount of nutrition than the boys. That affect the nutritional uptakes among the adolescent girls. One of the reasons being patriarchy, support of a male child more than the female child. The second reason is the prevalence of the poverty. Now, families with limited financial resources may struggle to provide the adequate diet for all family members, and girls may be disproportionately affected by this. Higher number of poverty ratio means lesser amount of food available per capita, and that too, given the patriarchy in the society and the gender discrimination, girls are likely to suffer the most. Then there is a limited access to the healthcare. Lack of access to the quality healthcare both at the primary, secondary and the tertiary sector, including the prenatal and the postnatal support, has been contributing to the nutritional deficiency among the girls in the country. Malnourished mothers are more likely to give birth to the undernourished babies, perpetuating the cycle of malnutrition. Then comes the issue of early marriage and the pregnancy. In some parts of the India, girls are married off at a very young age, which can lead to the early pregnancies because of the poor sex education in the country. Now, adolescent girls who become mother before their bodies are fully developed are at a higher risk of malnutrition, as their body may not be able to adequately support both their growth as well as the growth of their infant's child. It is followed by social and cultural factors. So traditional beliefs and practices such as restrictions on the food intake for girls and the women can further exacerbate the nutritional deficiencies. For example, the practice of excluding certain food from women's diet during menstruational cycle may result in the inadequate nutritional diet. There is also the issue of lack of nutritional knowledge. So lack of education, lack of information about the balanced diet, right food preparation, or the utilization of available resources can hinder the improvement of nutritional status. For example, bad cooking habits like overboiling vegetables and straining water, removing the husk from the wheat, or even eating polished rice and straining rice water may aggravate the situation further. And the last one is hookworm infestation. It is a parasite infection actually, and resides in the small intestine of a girl. It can cause significant nutritional deficiencies because most of the nutrition has been consumed by the parasite. They attach to the intestinal lining and consume blood, leading to the chronic blood loss, iron deficiency causing anemia. This can even impair the body's ability to absorb the nutrients, resulting in the malnutrition and the stunted growth, particularly in the small girl child. And because of all these particular reasons, there are multiple consequences. The first is the malnutrition. It can lead to the stunted growth, weakened immune system, distorted mental growth, increased susceptibility to infection, and even the higher mortality rate in the future. It is followed by impaired cognitive development, which is the consequence or one of the consequences of the malnutrition. Essential nutrients like iron, iodine, vitamin A, zinc can impair cognitive development and lead to the learning disabilities. It also reduces the attention span, decreases intellectual capability, and this can have long-term effect on educational attainment and even the economic prosperity, productivity of a girl child. And not only that, even if she go into the labor market, she might not be able to perform well. It is followed by increased disease burden on a girl child. Nutritional deficiency weakens the immune system that we all know and make adolescent more vulnerable to various diseases and the infection. For instance, vitamin A deficiency increases the risk of blindness and susceptibility to infectious disease like measles. Iron deficiency can also lead to the anemia. That is one of the reasons why India is running Anemia Mukt Bharat program. We have reproductive health problems among the elder adolescent girls. There is a nutrient deficiency that we have talked about, particularly with respect to the folate and the iron. This will ultimately lead to the risk in the menstrual irregularity or even heavy or prolonged periods and even affect the fertility in long term. And the last one is economic implication. Undernourished adolescent girls are higher at the risk of chronic diseases and pregnancy complications. She might even die because of that. And this sometimes lead to the higher healthcare burden on both family, community as well as the life partner, potentially leading to the financial instability and more chances of falling into the poverty trap. So based on this discussion, we can easily understand that adolescent health remains to be a greater concern for the government. So what government has done in this regard? The first is that scheme for adolescent girl or SAG. This is a scheme where adolescent girls within the age group of 11 to 14 are facilitated, educated and empowered to break their intergenerational life cycle of nutrition and gender disadvantages. So it's a particular 11 to 14 years of target group. Then we have Rashtriya Kishore Swasthya Karyakram, specifically focusing on Kishore, that is adolescents. It is launched for adolescent for increasing their participation and the leadership, for providing equity and inclusion, gender equity, both male and the female, and their strategic partnership with other sectors and stakeholders. The program envisages enabling all adolescents, including male child, in India to realize their full potential by making informed and responsible decisions related to their health and the well-being. Then comes the targeted and regionally contextualized social behavior change communication or SBCC. It's an important scheme. It talks about behavioral aspect. This is an effort around adolescent girls' nutrition to generate greater demand and adoption for good practice in the food. It just targets about the behavioral change, what to eat, when to eat, how to eat. Then comes ICDS, which has already been revamped. So under this is centrally sponsored scheme, there was an aim to provide package of services, supplementary nutrition, immunization, health checkup, referral services, even to the pregnant woman, lactating mother and children up to the age of 6. If that happens to be true, adolescent girls are more likely to be benefited. It is followed by National Nutritional Anemia Prophylaxis Program or NNAPP. Under this program, it focuses on preventing and controlling iron deficiency anemia among vulnerable groups, including the adolescent girl. So it is beyond adolescent girls also. Under this, weekly iron and folic acid supplements are being provided to the girls between the age of 10 to 19. And the last one is National Deworming Day. In one of the reasons we talked about the hookworm infestation. So to fight this, we have National Deworming Day. It is celebrated on February 10th every year. It is an initiative which aims to deworm all children and adolescents in the country and to prevent worm infestation and improve overall health. Adolescent girls are the core target of this program. Now, coming to the way forward, what else should be done? So, this is what we have done, and this is what should be done. The first one is routine training of health workers. This should be done with an effective implementation and the monitoring of various schemes. Implement comprehensive nutrition education programs in the schools as well as the communities that specifically target adolescent girls. Teach them about balanced diets, essential nutrients, and healthy eating habits. This can be integrated into the school curriculum, okay, and it can be delivered through the community health workers to the doorsteps of the households where adolescent girls are living. Then comes the nutritional school meals. In order to enhance the quality of midday meals provided in the school, to ensure that they meet the nutritional requirement of the adolescent girls, fruits, vegetable, pulses, and whole grain wheat can be included or to be made part of midday meal. Then we can conduct nutrition focused workshop, cooking demonstration, awareness campaign to empower families, communities, adolescent girls to make learned and informed choices about their nutrition. We can also focus on addressing the gender disparity that affect the nutrition. For this, mass awareness is required. Education, fighting the patriarchy, bringing the behavioral changes are important. And the last one is we require regular data collection like that we have National Family Health Survey. Through more such data, we'll be able to analyze, keep the track and the progress, identify the gaps, inform through the evidence-based decision-making system for the future intervention. More data, more accuracy. More accuracy means better implementation of the program and better outcomes. With this entire discussion, now you will be in a position to answer this question with an ease. That's all for today's Daily News Simplified. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for more such updates.